Last night, workers in hard hats climbed scaffolding on a marble building in Washington. And they removed letters from the facade, one by one. And they finished at 3:30 in the morning. Now, that building is, of course, the Kennedy Center. And I'm sure that you followed the story. It was named after President John F. Kennedy when it opened in 1971. But last year, in December, a board that was fully appointed by Trump, voted to add Trump's name to the building, and a federal judge ruled that this was illegal. Only Congress can change the Kennedy Center's name, and the courts agreed. And Trump's administration then filed emergency appeal after emergency appeal, and each one was rejected. So last night, hundreds of people stood outside in the rain and they watched. And in the videos you can see that some were even wearing evening wear. And when the letters came down, they cheered. And a double rainbow had appeared over the buildings as the deadline approached. It's a beautiful view. I put a video in Morning Compass today. But I want to talk today about something connected to that image. Not the Kennedy Center specifically, but what it represents. We are in a period of very short political climate horizons. Trump put his name on a building, a court took it off, and the story ends there for most of the news cycle. But there are things happening right now which have much longer timelines. Things that don't fit in the news cycle, and things that will matter long after the Kennedy Center letters have been completely forgotten. Let's move to El Niño. El Niño has officially formed in the Pacific. NOAA has confirmed it this week, and scientists say that there's a 63% chance that this El Niño will rank among the largest in recorded history, going back to the 1950s. And the last major El Niño was in 1997, and it caused severe flooding in California. There was a drought in Australia, Southeast Asia, and there were catastrophic conditions across sub-Saharan Africa. Now this one could be even stronger. Scientists are now forecasting that 2027 will likely be the hottest year ever recorded, and that's partly because of the lagged effects of this El Niño, which is expected to peak in late fall or early winter. And there's also a new study out this week in Journal of Nature, Climate Change, Coastal Floods that used to have a 1% annual chance of happening are now 12 times more likely on average. And the study found that since the 1960s, human-caused warming has been the main driver of rising sea levels. And there's another study from Columbia University, published this week. Trees may store significantly less carbon than climate models had assumed. Scientists found that trees stop growing months before photosynthesis stops. Now, the carbon absorbed during that period doesn't become wood, so it doesn't stay locked in the forest. And this means that the models have overestimated the extent to which the world forests protect us. These are 3 studies in 1 week, and there's actually many more studies coming out all the time. And all these studies are pointing in the same direction. Now, I want to be precise about something before I continue. El Niño is a natural phenomenon. It has been happening for centuries. Peruvian fishermen already noticed it in the 19th century. They gave it its name. And it comes and it peaks and it fades. And this one will probably be gone by 2028. But it does not arrive in a neutral world anymore. It arrives on top of decades of human-made climate change. The seas are already higher, the baseline temperatures are already elevated, the atmosphere already holds more heat and more humidity than it did 50 years ago. And when El Niño adds its own warming on top of that, the combined effect is worse than either would be alone. The floods will be deeper, the droughts are longer, and the storms are stronger. And that is the key point. El Niño is temporary, but climate change is not. And what climate change requires is not just an effective emergency response after the disaster. It requires changing the economy before the disaster. Shifting away from fossil fuels and investing in solar, wind and storage, and investing in the infrastructure of a completely different energy system, those investments are expensive now, and the benefits arrive later, long after the current government is gone. And that is a real political problem. It's not unique to Trump. It is hard in any democratic system to invest heavily in something whose returns belong to your successor. It's actually hard in any political system, not just democracies. Voters feel the cost today, but they feel the benefit in 10 years under someone else. But there's a difference between that structural difficulty and what the current administration in the US is doing. Deliberately cutting renewable energy initiatives, subsidizing coal, withdrawing from international climate agreements and slashing the agencies that track weather and that respond to disasters. That is not just short-termism, that is choosing the past over the future. And doing that at the exact moment that the future is already sending its bills. History is full of leaders who clung to old industries and who resisted transition to something new. Look at the British coal lobby in the 1980s, or the American steel industries in the 1970s. Or you can even look at the horse-drawn carriage makers when the automobile arrived. The resistance is always the same. It's about jobs, it's about identity, it's about the fear of change, and the outcome is always the same too, because the transition happens anyway. The only question is who leads it and who gets left behind. And right now, China is leading it. Europe is leading it. And the United States is paying more for gasoline and cutting the agency that responds when the next hurricane makes landfall. El Niño will pass, but the warming underneath will not. And that is what 3 studies published this week are telling us. And it's worth sitting with that for a moment, even while the news is full of the Kennedy Center letters and Iran deal predictions. The longer story is the story that matters most.